Remember to look at the camera. Remember, camera. Cheers. Lovely evening, isn't it? Tmux, 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 Tmux. Terminal multiplexer. Multiplexing the terminal with Tmux. Hands in a weird place. Holding the whole sun in his hands. Sorry, I don't know what that was. Hello there. Today I'm going to be speaking with you about Tmux, specifically communication between multiple Tmux sessions. So in Tmux, you can actually communicate between different panes, different windows, and even different sessions. So today we're going to set up having one terminal running Tmux, communicating with another terminal, which is going to be a separate session. So each terminal is its own session of Tmux, and they're going to be able to communicate and send commands to each other. It's going to be really cool. So let's dive into the code. Okay, so behind me, I've got two separate terminal windows. They're completely separate running instances of Kitty. So we've got one on the left and one on the right. Both are separate Tmux sessions. We can actually list out the running sessions of Tmux by doing Tmux list sessions. You see here, I've actually already got one with 3 windows. That's on a different screen. That's just doing some other stuff, not actually relevant to this. But I've got number 3 here, which has got 1 window, and number 4, which has got 1 window. That's this one. So you can see that it's giving you the information of how many windows are actually open in that particular Tmux session. So if I create a new window, that's basically tabs in Tmux. I do that with my leader. What do they call it? Prefix C to create a new window. For me, I've got it as B. I think that's the default. Control B C. That's to create a new window. So if I then run the last command, you'll see now session 3 has 2 windows. Excellent. Control B D, kill the window, and we're back down to just the 1 windows again. Okay, so you saw there that they're named currently. 3 and 4 are the names of the sessions. Now that's really not very helpful. We're going to want to rename those so that we can actually have human readable names for the sessions that we want to be able to send to. So my left hand one, that's this one here, number 3, I'm actually going to make that my sender terminal, my sender session. And then on the right, number 4, that's going to be the receiver. I'm going to just receive stuff down with that one. So I'm going to rename this one, Tmux rename session. What am I going to rename this one? This will be sender. Nice. And you can actually see that down here, it's specific to your own Tmux power bar. For me, I've got the session name is the second argument after my host and user. So you can see that's now sender. And then on this side, number 4, I'm going to do the exact same command, but with a different name. Rename session, and this will be receiver. Oh, correctly. Look at that. We're already flying. We're already doing really well. Excellent. So then if we do the list sessions command once again, we can see I've got that one from the other window that we'll ignore. But we've got the receiver and we've got the sender because it looks like they're in alphabetical order. Very helpful. Good stuff. So now we know what they're called. Now we know we have a way that we can we're not just using numbers to go like which session number was it again? We're actually using the names to send to. So to communicate from one session to another, we're going to be using the send keys command. So if we do Tmux send keys then needs a -T for tag, maybe? Could be tag. But basically this is going to be the name of the session we want to send to. I think you can do session and also window, but we're actually only interested in session because at the moment there's only 1 window open in this. So we're going to send it to the receiver. The next argument is a string of what it is that you want to send there. So we'll just do like the very basic hello world. If I actually send that, you'll see it works. But it's actually just going to hang on this side. I would have to manually go back over and enter, which is really not ideal. There's a way around that. You can, after the string, you can just type all caps enter, and it will trigger the enter command straight afterwards. That has to be all caps. Guess we'll try it. That works as well. Okay, so you just need to do enter afterwards. Nice. Okay, so we're successfully sending an echo command from one side to the other. That's really cool. Okay, so we could, I guess the next step for this could be that we could bundle this functionality into a function, a bash function. So we'll start by typing function, which is a nice keyword. I'm actually just going to hit Control E, and that's going to pop me into a neovim buffer for the command. Once I actually exit out of this buffer, whatever's left in the buffer will then be left in my terminal. So if I just do a quick quit, you'll see that it's still there. And if Control E, wait, edit this. Yeah, no save. So if I did a quick save and quit, you would get it into the shell prompt. So we're going to do function. I'm going to call this piece of functionality command, CMD, nice and short, so I can just like very quickly and simply just grab command and have a string. Basically, what I want to be able to do is I want to call it like command and then some argument. I want to be able to do hello world like this. I just want to be able to call command and send it over. This is what I want this function to do. So we will just do exactly as we did before. We'll do the send key, dash key, receiver, and then we will have, this would be where our command would live here. So we need this to be the args, what this args object, this argument string, which is passed in, and then we'll pass the enter command as we did before. So in Bash, you might kind of think, like with most programming languages, that you would put maybe like an args in here. Bash variables always start with the $sign prefix for a variable, but actually this is not the case. Not how it works. Instead, you would do there's some like sort of special variables that you have in Bash. $1, $2, $3. These are all like the first, second, and third arguments. I'm actually going to just grab the first argument. I'm not interested in the rest. So it'll be only the first piece after command. In this case, it'll be a string. Is going to be what's consumed into this. Okay, so this will work nicely. We'll just quit. We'll run it. I'll just get rid of this line because it doesn't like me putting a comment. That's fine. So now we can see command echo hello world. And we're back to the same place. Cool, so we've got this nice bash function, which we can just call. What happens if I call which on that? Which actually tells me what the function does, which is quite nice. Okay, so my kind of thinking of why this would be really useful is if I could have one terminal where I'm actually sort of like doing some surfing, doing some curl requests maybe, and I want to actually output the output from certain requests, not in the context of that one terminal, but maybe onto a different screen, into a different terminal elsewhere. So that's kind of like what I'm thinking. I'm kind of thinking that we'll do some sort of like a curl request to, I'm actually going to shamelessly copy paste a lorem ipsum API, which I have already gone and found. We've got this skate ipsum. I want to be able to pass this to the other side. So if I'll just run it with JQ so you can see what we get back immediately. It gives us this array with some strings. Pretty simple. But if I want to pass that to the other side, you might think, oh, I'll just pipe it to command. Failed writing body. It failed. Really weird. Okay, why is that? So the thing with piping in Linux is that it's not the same as just calling it as a command line argument. One thing that you might think to do is to take that stream. You've got the xargs function, which will then, it takes streams and then we'll append it as the last argument. That can be really helpful. But then we've got a new problem, command, no such file or directory. So with this, xargs really wants binaries. It needs to be able to find it on the path. I'm not sure if this is because it's in a separate shell environment compared to the scope that we're currently in. I couldn't actually find a way around this without actually saving command to a file. So for now, we're going to avoid xargs, but this would work if we had command be an actual saved binary file that was on the path. So say like we had user bin cmd, we would actually better call this, and that should work pretty much with normal functionality. That's why xargs is pretty helpful. But without xargs, let's see what we can do. So what we want to be able to do is get the output and just pipe it straight over. That's what we're aiming to be able to do. So let's rewrite the command function then. So we need to make our command function accept input from standard in, because that's where the pipe is going to place the data. The pipe is going to finish, and the standard in for this particular shell binary is going to be the data is going to live in standard in. That's it. Dev standard in. Special place where it lives. You've got other ones like dev null, where nothing lives. There's completely nothing there. And you've got standard out and standard error. They're both there. In Linux, they are file descriptors, so they're like an actual living, breathing file that contain data from the perspective of the current environment you're in. So we will set up a local variable called input, and that will be the result of a computation. Be like dash little trick that will get you standard in. Another way you can do it is with this. I think that works. One thing we could just do, we just echo it out, then we'll know we're on the right track. Let's give this a try. So if we were to get that, run it, and then go back to the previous command. There we go. Standard in, the data was there, and it just printed it straight back out. Lovely. So let's go back in. One shorthand for this, not sure if it's a shorthand, but it's shorter, so it's definitely a shorthand. This will do the exact same thing. Boom. Cool. Okay. One issue that we do have now, though, is that we can no longer do our echo hello world. It just hangs. Why is it hanging? It's because if we go back to our shell function, we're actually getting stuck on this part. It's probably easier to see if we call it dev stand in. So what's happening here is the script is getting to this part here, and then it's just hanging because there's nothing in standard in. So it's waiting for the pipe to be complete. It's assuming that there's going to be data, but there isn't yet. So it will just hang when we try and give it an argument. So we actually want this function to be a bit cleverer than it currently is. So to do that, we want it to. So we need to be able to first check: is there anything in standard in? If there is, we'll use that. If not, we'll just use the argument. That's the way we're going to go about it. So we'll make the we'll start out with just an input, which is an empty string, and then we're going to check. We'll do if. We've got these weird bash ifs. Dash p dev standard in. Copilot's actually giving it to me there. I'm going to put it back to that dev standard in version though. So saying if there's anything in standard in, then we will go and actually grab what's in standard in and cat it out into this string, the input string. Cool. So that's the if. We'll actually have an else branch as well, and then in the else case, we'll suck up every argument that is given to command. That's what this at symbol is. That's basically all the arguments. It's like the spread operator in JavaScript or something. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and just onwards until every single argument is included as a array, as a list, whatever Bash calls them. So at this point, we've got an input. An input is there, and then we want to actually use that input just like we were doing before. We want to send keys. Copilot is really trying to jump ahead of the gun here, and trying to tell us that we could have any session. And it's true, we could have any session, but we're actually not going to. We're going to have the input as a string, and then hit enter. So we've got command ready for action. We'll do a quick which command just to show that it's there. There it is. Looks beautiful. So we will then do our curl version. There it appears on the other side, piped into, and it appears there. And then we will also do our hello world version. Boom, there as well. Look at that. We've got both. We've got a nice bash function there that can take either a standard in input or an argument. So it's really nice and flexible. I hope this shows you just how powerful Tmux can be when we start adding scripts into it. And along the way, we learned how you can, have a bash function that can handle not just command line arguments, but also standard in as its input source. Nice stuff. Thanks again for joining me. See you in the next one. Tmux. Multiplexing the terminal with Tmux.